I think we're live.
Are we? Oh.
Are we?
Are we live?
Apparently we're live.
I don't see evidence of that.
So
Is anyone here? Hello?
Hello? Anybody?
0.5?
We have half a message a minute. All right. So trying to deal with the technical difficulties. Let's reload this page.
Zach is streaming now.
Hey, we're streaming now.
But it's not showing up. Should I refresh that page?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
I don't know how to refresh these things.
I just did.
Oh.
Oh, there we are.
Oh,
and
hey.
we are live.
We're live.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So that was interesting. Sorry, we're using a new webinar service that I had no idea how to use. So there we go. And if you ever see us looking over that direction, it's because there's a monitor over there that we can see what's going on. So we have a couple minutes till we're going to get rolling. But first and foremost,
Welcome.
yeah, welcome.
This is our first webinar of this type.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be exciting for us.
Yes. I'm pretty stoked about this.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff going to be going on, a lot of information that's going to be presented, and I want you guys to pay attention. So make sure that if you're going to be taking notes, take some notes now. Get your pen and paper and get that rolling now, because it's going to be, we're going to go
quick. That's the thing. Because as we're kind of running through this today, I noticed we're going to go quick, but this will be available, right?
Yeah.
After?
So we're going to be doing a replay of this afterwards. So don't worry. You'll get it at the end again. So don't fret about it. All right. So let me pull up my docs real fast.
It's right there, isn't it? It's behind the
live dashboard. Hey, y'all. Let's see. Who's all in here right now? And feel free to fill out your section with the questions. So basically, you'll see that it says, do you have a question? Just fill in your first name and then your email address that you want to use. And then be sure to go ahead and you're going to want to write your message, and then we'll hopefully get that. And as long as there's no difficulties or technical difficulties in here. But let's see. Control room. All right. All right, cool. So I guess we're going to start getting rolling. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. New mic, new program that we're working with, but here we go. Okay. So basically, I'm going to do this down here so I don't drive you guys nuts. All right. Have no choice. Have to do it up here. All right. So what we're going to do is, this is only going to last about 30 minutes. And then at the end, we're going to go through a question and answer portion. We want to make sure that we're going to be covering everything in detail. We don't want to skip anything, because I know, your guys' time is really valuable to you. It's really valuable to us. So we want to make sure that we're going to give you the best information as quickly as possible without sending you a bunch of bull jive in between. So first and foremost, Chris and I really want to thank you for coming. This has been a long time coming. We've been trying to get this webinar up and running for quite a while, but again, we want to make sure that we are getting the information down first. We want to make sure that we're actually getting all the right stuff before we're going to hand it out. So we kind of just want to start by saying, who we are. Chris and I are wedding photographers primarily. And then we've actually been doing this for long enough now where we kind of felt that we were wanting to get something more out of it. And I think that came in the terms of education. So that's how the lounge got started. And then...
Yeah, I mean, basically, Zach and I just kind of came to the conclusion of, we had a lot of things that we weren't able to learn as quickly as we would have liked to have learned them. And we had to do like a ton of research and talking with people. And basically what we want to do with the lounge is just help people get the things that are the most important with our business, and help you to get them more quickly. And so today in this webinar, we're going to talk with you about 4 things.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to talk about is better managing your clients.
Secondly, I want to talk to you about how to budget your money so that you can make more of your money.
And then we want to maximize your website's full potential.
And then finally, I want to talk with you briefly about why customer reviews are key to getting more business.
Right. So before we kind of get rolling into that, Chris has a little bit of our story that he was going to share with you.
Yeah. So basically, a few years ago, several years back, Zach and I were kind of contemplating quitting photography altogether. This was a few years after our business started, and we didn't have any money in the bank. We were just not booking very many clients. We didn't know how to spend our money. We didn't know how to spend our time. We didn't know what the next step was going to be. And so basically what ended up happening was we were just really close to quitting, but we decided to stick with it. And so now, all these years later, like Zach and I are doing really well. We are making 6 figures shooting weddings, and we've had a lot of success, but it's come at a cost of just a lot of time and a lot of learning. And so what we are both really passionate about is teaching. And so the lounge is about us being able to share with you some of the things that we've learned about how to run a successful business for the people that are still trying to figure it out.
That's right.
And so that's basically it. So Zach's going to get us started.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I really want to jump into client management. Now, client management, I feel like goes kind of under the wayside sometimes, and people kind of just assume that that's having to do with just sending emails and making sure you're delivering products on time. But unfortunately, that's not true. So one of the first things I want to mention is actually using a CMS. And I don't know if you guys know what this is, but it's a client management system. So it might be a challenge for you right now if you haven't started using one of these, but I'm only going to talk about this for a minute because it's actually something that is completely dependent on your preference. I think I've actually spoken to several of you before, and you've mentioned that you've had some experience with client management systems, but just for example, some of the ones that are out there that, that some are more prevalent are like Tave, 17 Hats, Pixify, those sort of things. So if that rings a bell, hopefully you kind of understand a little bit more of what's going on with those. But these are here to organize your virtual studio and subsequently your life. Of course, some are better than others, but it really does come down to your personal preference. For example, mobility is very important to me. So I chose Tave because of their mobile integration for, when I'm out of the office. But honestly, the most beneficial part of having a CMS is to take care of the next step of the client management process before clients even have to ask about it. Because this gives your clients a sense that you're organized, prepared, and ready to take care of them. Now, every time your client has to ask you to do something that is assumed you should already be doing, you lose credibility in their mind. Now, here's your homework. What I want you to do is pick the top 3 requests that you receive from clients. And what I want you to do is prepare a canned statement that ensures you already have it covered. All right. So now, after you get that, I want you to store those statements in your CMS, your Dropbox, your iCloud, or whatever you're using, basically anywhere you can access them easily from any location. So that's the big step for your client management system. Now, the other portion that I want to talk about with managing your clients is email. All right, this is a biggie. We live in a day and age that requires immediacy. All right, our clients, they're emailing several other people. It's not just us. It is our job to stand out. So I want to focus on this method. All right. So some folks that we're currently coaching have expressed kind of concern on the frequency of reaching out to other folks and reaching out to their clients too much. They fear that it's going to annoy them, but I don't think it's always the case. I do want to clarify, yes, there is such a thing as too much contact. So the question is, how do you manage this? Now, I want you to try this for me. And, this is something that we usually train on our first coaching session. So, you might hear this again in the future. But what I want you to do is start from a point of contact or the initial inquiry. All right. Break down every correspondence that you would standardly have into 3 sections. All right. I want you to focus on first, what do your clients want? And then I want you to move on to what do your clients need? And then finally, I want you to ask, what are you going to deliver? All right. So this means doing some research realistically on your part. Now, go through past emails or meeting notes. Basically, anytime that you've had contact with one of your clients, I want you to determine that what was the most requested information from them, and then I want you to determine if it was actually what they were asking for. Sometimes they actually ask for things that they don't really need to know at the moment, and it does nothing but really confuse the process. So after you sorted those, I want you to deliver a portion of what they want, unless it is really vital it's really has to happen now. But otherwise, I want you to deliver a portion of what they want and a majority of what they actually need. Okay, so what I want you to do is repeat this for every section of correspondence. Now, this list is long. So we're talking about the inquiry, the initial meeting, the follow-up, the quote, the questionnaire delivery, the check-ins, the final meetings, the post-event follow-up, the image delivery, sales and the upsell meeting. What else do you do? The request for reviews, and then the final check-in. As you can see, there's several points of contact already, so we don't want to bog them down and add in more random emails if we don't have to. We remedy this by determining exactly what needs to be said and what we need to say in every pre-planned correspondence. All right. Just as a side note, when a client reaches out to you, respond quickly. If it is close to the timeline of another scheduled correspondent that we've already determined we were going to do, I want you to determine what they're asking for, figure out what the need is, and then deliver the response and include the nearest scheduled correspondence. Okay, so don't just ignore the question and wait for your correspondence. Answer the question. But if you're nearby, they're in the request for review section, insert that somewhere. Okay, so as wedding photographers, Chris and I, we make it our goal to keep our brides completely stress-free. That means for us, they don't have to worry about anything from us. We will give them exactly what they need, not bog them down with random unorganized messages. The more organized you are, realistically, the more ease they feel. And then the more ease they feel, the better your shoot will go. And then off of that, the better the shoot, the better the review. Now, a lot of this can be organized into a CMS. In most CMSs, you can actually view all of your emails with each client. Plus, you can actually create templated emails to be delivered at specific times. Now, by doing this, you save a lot of time, which means you can spend more time working on other things like your financials, which is what Chris is going to be talking about right now.
Right. So a huge part of creating a successful business is learning the importance of budgeting. And so I'm just going to take you briefly through a couple ideas about why you need a budget, why a budget is important. It's interesting how many photographers that we've met with that have never actually written out a budget. They have some ideas about how they spend money and they have some ideas about what they do with that money, but it's really important if you're going to have a successful business to have a detailed budget. And so why do you need a budget? Well, a couple reasons. First thing, a well put together budget is kind of like a roadmap for your company. You can see where you've come from and you can have a decision, you can make decisions about where you're going. It's kind of like the thing that makes a business run is what kind of revenue you're pulling in versus what your costs are to run the business. And so a well put together budget is like a roadmap. It's going to minimize bad risks for the company. Sometimes if you make a wrong decision, you could tank your company. Like maybe it's not the right time for you to buy a 70 to 200, 2.8, $3,000 Zoom. But a lot of people try to make those decisions early on, and it might not be the right time for that. Drafting a budget for your business is ultimately going to help your company. There are really 3 steps to drafting a budget. Number 1, you have to figure out how much money you actually have. Some people have no money in the business account, and that's okay. But you need to know that. You need to be aware of that. You need to think through what that actually means for your purchases. The second thing is, how much money do you need to spend? If you're going to grow the business, how much money do you really need to spend in order to do that? And then thirdly, how much do you need to bring in to meet your business goals? What kind of revenue do you need? A budget should be tabulated at least every year. You want to have some kind of document that you can go back to. There's a lot of different, within the CMS even, and there's different management systems through banks, depending on who you bank through. There's a ton of options out there, but you need to make sure you're going through your budget every year, that you're coming back. You need to have columns and estimates for every possible thing that you could have, that you could spend money on, or that you could be making money on. And so the first thing you want to think about is how to break down your financial needs. What are your labor costs? How much is it actually costing you to go and shoot a wedding? How much are you charging to do that? How did you arrive at that value? What is your, not only your hourly rate, but how much do cameras cost? How much does software cost? Why are you using the equipment that you are? What is the material cost for all of these things? Secondly, what are your monthly operating costs? Anymore, things like Photoshop and Lightroom are done with a monthly cost. You pay a subscription fee. Those things, they seem cheaper at first, but over time it adds up. Over time, it will come back to get you if you're not using it all the time. Another thing, Zach and I didn't think about this for a long time, but taxes. There's a ton of tax breaks for small business owners, and it's important for you to think through those things. Like in your house or in your apartment, do you have a section of your house that you use for business? Even if it's over by the window and it's like a 5x5 area that you only use for business, if you document that throughout the year, you can write that off on your taxes. Your heating bill, a portion of your phone bill, portion of your internet bill. One of the big ones that we didn't discover until a few years ago was our mileage driving to these weddings. Occasionally, Zach and I will drive 150, 200 miles to a wedding. It's 56 cents a mile these days, and the federal government will pay you back for how much you drive for business. It's really important to document those things through the year. And the only way you'll be successful at that is if you have a plan going into it. Let's face it, we are all about making a profit. You're in business to make a profit. We're all artists and we all want to take beautiful pictures. But if we can't focus on how to create a revenue that we can pull a profit from, then the whole thing is going to go away. And we don't want to be starving artists. We want to be artists that can turn a profit. Right. And so Zach's going to talk to you about the best practices for website management.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, that kind of all rolls into one major thing. We have a website in order to make money. All right. A lot of us would like to use that for our own personal, voice our opinions and that kind of stuff. But your website needs to be a business website. All right. So what I want to talk about now is the best practices for your website, how it's going to flow, how it's going to look, how it's going to function. So you can out yourself if you want to right now, but totally not required. How many here are not too thrilled with their website? And don't feel bad if you're not. You may actually have some pretty brilliant imagery. But when it comes to graphics and web design, many of us just aren't as good as others, and some of us are just a bit delayed, myself included. So with that, I kind of want to share some of the best practices to your website. All right. So first and foremost, when your future client lands on your homepage, they need to be able to distinguish two things immediately. Okay, who you are and what you do. This is where we typically see photographers fall short. Their front page is jam-packed with things like pricing, testimonials, galleries, blog posts, and bios.
And if it's really bad, music.
Yes, that is a biggie. That's hopefully nobody's doing that here. If you are, turn it off immediately. Okay, but what we need to focus on is who you are and what you do. That is all. Okay, so if you're a wedding photographer primarily, then remove everything that confuses that. Are seniors your forte? Then ditch the babies, the couples, the landscapes, and the equestrian galleries. Keep it simple. Who are you? That's what this is first supposed to is supposed to represent. Okay, so you can include a bio, sure, but mainly when I'm asking you who you are, all right, I'm talking about your branding. So when you go to our page, greencouchphotography.com, there's no confusing that you're at Green Couch Photography's website. Our branding is prominent. Our colors, font, and voice are all consistent. So what do you do? The next question. We want every client that comes to our page to be 100% certain that we are wedding photographers. Scrolling on the front page is our weddings and engagement photography. That is it. So do we occasionally photograph families? Sure. But that doesn't matter to my target client, brides. They want to know that when they work with us and when they hire us to be their photographers, they are getting pros. All right. So if that gets confused, you can be sure that you're losing potential clients. So next, don't lose sight of why they are visiting your site to begin with. They want to see your photos, and that should be why you want them there as well. Make the photos the complete focus of your website if you have to. Your gallery should be completely obvious, easy, and quick. Ditch all the overcomplicated transitions where they're folded in and out and doing the slow fade and all that junk. Get rid of it. All right. Get rid of the hidden navigations. People, if they want to click on your menu, let them click on your menu. All right, don't hide it. So your visitors should be able to identify a specific album if they want to click through it. They should be able to, quickly cycle through the images. Don't try to highlight your personal favorite, because I promise you that their favorites are completely different from yours. All right. So if you have a highlight feature on, remove it. If you have an embedded gallery that cycles through images, be sure that it's not reloading the page with every transition. That really confuses the whole process and can really slow down like the transitions through the pages, and then which ultimately results to losing clients. Now, I'm saying this because I've seen this done over and over and over again. And I know it looks cool. And I know that we think it looks really interesting and neat whenever, we're on these pages and we think that people are going to love our transitions. Oh my goodness, they're so amazing. But it's not true. Really, they want to go to the site for that reason. They want to know who you are and what you do. Okay. So let's kind of jump into that a little bit. Sharing a bit about yourself is really important. The current generation of photography, the clients, they're predominantly millennials. So understand that the typical millennial cares more about trust and honesty, realistically, over price. The more connected to your personality they feel, and the more connected to you personally they feel, the more likely they are to work with you. All right, so on your website, there should be a specified About Us section. Within this, you should have at least a picture of yourself along with a brief bio. Now, when I say brief, I mean like one paragraph. I'm not talking about a full page, people. They don't want to read that much. So right after your bio, include why it is you're a photographer. Please try to best avoid all these like buzz phrases like I capture moments and photography is my passion. I see through the lens. So, I mean, don't include these because they see them everywhere. You don't stand out that way. So next, state what separates you from the pack then. All right. So this is really your moment to differentiate yourself from other photographers. In our extended coaching sessions, we train photographers how to make this differentiation. But for now, I'm just going to kind of give you an abbreviated version of it. And it kind of goes something like this. So if you have your pen and paper ready, go ahead, and what I want you to do is jot down this question. Don't try to list them all now because you won't be able to do it. What I want you to do is list 5 words that describe your personality. Okay, 5 words that describe your personality. Next, I want you to list 5 tasks that your closest friends and family might ask you to assist with. List 5 tasks your closest friends and family might ask you to assist with. Next, list 5 tasks they would definitely not ask you to help with. That they would not. Keyword not. So utilize that information to create 5 different sentences that make you different from every other photographer. And I promise if you can narrow these down, you'll have a good start. You might not have as much of the condensed version because we go through a long list of stuff to kind of break down your differentiations, or your differentiations. Sorry. But this will get you kind of on a jump start. So just as a side note, if you have the resources to create a bio video that goes over this information, I'd really recommend it. This adds one more element of your personality that is just not on your site. Chris and I added it, and it changed a lot for us. Big shout out to Matt Grimes for shooting that video for us. So your price. Okay, so yeah, that's the next kind of section that we want to talk about is your prices and your pricing statements. So this is kind of like the final declaration of why your client is going to hire you. So of course, price is a factor, but it isn't the only factor. There are only two key principles that factor into handling your pricing page. First, don't make your investment page look like the Cheesecake Factory menu, because you can choose to place more than pricing packages on your site. All right, you can choose to do more than one, but it gets way confusing if you do too much. So there's nothing wrong with that, but once your visitors have to start scrolling through pages of information forced by you and like playing the word search game, you might as well say goodbye to them. They're gone. Okay. So finally, most importantly of all, the call to action. All right. The whole reason for having a website is to make a sale. And in order for you to make that sale, in order for you to get the lead, you need to basically tell them to click that giant contact us button. And one of the biggest mistakes I see photographers doing on their website when it comes to this is stuffing that button deep into a drop-down menu or only including their email address on the page. That thing should be loud and proud, predominantly saying, click me. All right. I know this seems like common sense, but I really would hate to assume that. I want to make sure you guys are understanding that. Okay, so I'm kind of running over, but for the sake of time, I'm going to let Chris jump back on this, and he's going to tell you a little about the sparkling reviews that keep new clients coming your way.
Yeah, so one of the things that has really been eye-opening for us over the years is how important reviews are. And you guys probably already realize this, but we are a customer service business. The success of our business is based on our reviews. And Zach and I, if it's 5 stars, we don't want 4 stars. We want 5 stars. I don't want 3.9 stars on WeddingWire or The Knot or whatever. I want 5 stars. And so we focus a lot of our energy and our time on making sure that we get the best reviews from our clients that we possibly can. And so customer service is key to running a successful business, especially like Zach said earlier, with the millennial generation. They're all about relationship. Zach and I are both millennials. We just want to get to know people. We want to trust people. Photography is a customer service business. You need to understand every possible detail about your products. It's amazing to me how many people will have packages on their website, and then we'll ask a photographer, like, can you explain your packages to us? And they really don't even have reasoning for why they pick the prices they do. They don't even have really like everything figured out. You got to make sure that you can explain to your clients exactly why your products are priced the way that they are, because that's going to help you. That's going to help you with your honesty and your clarity, and people love that when you're clear and honest and you know what you're talking about. You also need to know how to actively listen to your customers and understand how to respond when they're excited or when they're frustrated. Sometimes people are coming to you because they've had a bad experience or because they've been a part of a wedding where the photographer was like really bad and they need to talk with you about that. And you need to know how to handle people. We need to be better listeners. And I think there's so much to be said, and we talk a lot about this when we're coaching people. We have to learn to be active listeners. Sometimes you just need to hear them out before you can start talking about, but let me tell you what I use, and let me tell you about this technique, and let me tell you about my albums. Sometimes you just need to listen. So we have to be better listeners. You have to make yourself available when it's convenient for your customers. We hear so many stories about photographers that say, you know what, I don't pick my phone up past 3:30 p.m. and I'm done. I'm going home. I'm on the internet. That's ridiculous. If you're running a business, you have to meet the needs of the clients. And sometimes they don't get off work till 5 o'clock. So you need to have a phone that's available. If people want to call you at 6, you're running a business. If you choose not to pick up the phone or answer the email, somebody else is going to. Because as we've learned, when people email wedding photographers, they don't just email you, they email 10. And when you're the first one to respond and you have a really strong identity about who you are and you have a really clear and helpful message, they're going to remember you. And so you've got to be available to your clients. The next thing, know exactly what the client wants versus what they think that they want. Help to inform the client on what they actually need. You're a professional. You are a part of the industry. You've got to just continue to remind yourself of that. You understand the industry better than they do. One of the things that we always talk to clients about is you don't actually need 2,000 pictures to proof. Part of my job as a photographer is to select the best pictures for you. And so those are things that we're thinking about. Under promise and over deliver. This is another thing. Zach and I are huge on this. An example of this would be, we always promise that our pictures, when we do a wedding, will be ready for you to view online within 30 days. Does it ever take us 30 days? Very rarely. Usually those pictures are delivered within 10 days or 15 days. But let me tell you, there's a big difference. When I tell a client, your pictures are going to be ready in 30 days, and then they get an email in 2 weeks, they're over the moon. But if you tell them, you know what, I could probably have them in 2 weeks, and then you take 3 weeks, you just went to the bottom. I mean, you are now in big trouble. And because, again, millennials are all about relationship. And so these are things that we don't often think about, but you want to under-promise, over-deliver, not only on that, but on everything. And also, just as I'm closing this out, don't be scared to ask for a review. When you have a good client and you feel like the relationship was really strong and you delivered a great product, be honest with them and tell them, I would really love a review from you because it really helps my business. If you could just give me a review, that's going to be just really tremendous for my business. If you start to do that, those reviews add up. And I mean, let's face it, how many products have we bought on Amazon because the reviews are really good? Or how many times have we looked at, let me look up the best pizza place, in Dayton, and then we're just going to go to the best reviews. That's how people shop nowadays. Right. And if you're failing to recognize that you don't think people are shopping for photography like that, you're missing it. And so reviews are huge. But anyway, Zach's going to close us out.
Yeah. So basically, I'm kind of sure that you guys have heard us talking about this a bit earlier, but I really wanted to briefly touch on our personal business coaching sessions. This is really why the Lounge was created. We were trying to create it for the folks that really needed it, and we wanted to extend an invite for you guys to this webinar. All right, and basically what we're going to do in a second, we're going to jump to our Q&A. But first, I really want to let you know that all of our photography business coaching registrations will be offered at 50% off for only those attending this webinar. All right, so you should see a link on your screen now that's going to be showing kind of like all of the available all the available coaching sessions left. But I want you to know that it's reduced price will only be for the next 2 hours. All right. So I just want to tell you that, and that we are making this solely available for you guys. All right. And it's solely for one reason, because we wish that we had this when we were starting out. And that's kind of where we started this whole conversation and the whole webinar. And I think Chris is going to pick that up now.
So to finish the story, Zach and I, we were on the ropes. I told you a few years ago, we had run out of money. We didn't know how to spend it. But when we started slowly investing in things, we started slowly investing in our business understanding. We started slowly investing in marketing. We started slowly investing in researching things that were going to help the business. And over time, it was really slow and it was really painful. It was a lot of sleepless nights, we tried so many things. I mean, we wrote blogs and we did all this stuff. But over time, as we learned more information and as we kept working, things started looking better for us. And over the last few years and over these, we've been shooting 25 to 30 weddings over these last few seasons. And what was it last year? We turned down how many brides? I don't even know, probably 30 or 40 brides we had to turn down last year just because our calendar was full and we don't want to shoot 100 weddings. I don't want to kill myself. But the great thing is we have found success in this industry, and it has taken us a lot of hard work and a lot of painful, sleepless nights. But one of the things that Zach and I are passionate about is teaching. And so the whole reason the Lounge exists is to help photographers who are great artists, and maybe they even have a few really good ideas with business, but they're just not quite where they want to be. I think, a few coaching sessions and you could literally turn your entire business around. We can set you on the right course. And hopefully our goal is that you will be even more successful than we are. That would be amazing. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I got.
Yeah. So I hope that this was pretty beneficial for you guys. And, I want to, again, really thank you for coming to this today. We have been really, really excited about it. And this is kind of a lot of sleepless nights just trying to prepare what information we could share with you. I wish we could spend an hour and a half talking about this. But if you are interested in coming to our, private coaching sessions, I would love to have you guys. But basically, this this is pretty much it. Now, I do want to jump on and start answering some questions for you guys. So I'm not sure. Let's see. I want to see if we can find some questions. Again, the program I'm using is brand new, so I am not completely sure on how to read any comments that you guys have left. So, all right. So I guess I'm kind of on the struggle bus right now when it comes to the technology portion of what I'm using. Okay, do this for me. What I want you to do is I want you to email us, all right, at info@greencouchlounge.com. All right. And that is our primary, email address. And what we want you to do is, ask us a few questions that you've been really interested in and that you want to know, kind of going in to this, to this webinar and in coming out. Like, did you learn anything? Is there anything that you really, wanted to know that we answered? And then basically any kind of business question that you might have, I would love to answer that for you. And
our needs are different than your needs too. I mean, Zach and I had issues that we're trying to work through, but we want to help. We want to help you. We want to see what are your biggest questions. What are your biggest struggles with your business? Some people are just like really frustrated with their ability to book clients. Some people are really frustrated with their ability to manage, their money successfully.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, we want to know. We want to know what's going on, how we can help. So
I also want to let you know too that if you missed any portion of this, there is going to be a live rebroadcast, or not a live broadcast, but there's going to be a rebroadcast after this, and that'll stay up for a couple days. I haven't quite determined yet on how that works, but again, the future of these webinars, we're going to try to be doing these regularly. And in the question portion, I want you to tell us what other things that you want to know. Tell us other things that matter to you. On that, thank you again for stopping by and hanging out with us for the little bit. And I hope we answered some questions. Good luck out there. Cheers. See you.